Good day everyone, it's September 26th and I figured it was time to film some updates. While the last video I uploaded was only 5 days ago, the last video I filmed was 3 weeks ago. So I figured I'd clue you guys in on what's been going on and how I've been doing. I figure first thing I'll talk about is the apartment slash motel room. Everything's been going just fine here. I quite like it here, although I will say that in the first few days that after I moved in, I found that this place was very far from being free of quirks. First of all, you remember when I moved in the dehumidifier that was sitting here, and I had no idea why it was here, and I was kind of confused when I asked the person at the desk, and she said that it didn't work, even though when I tested it, it worked just fine. Well, I've cleared all that up now, and here's the thing. There it is. This room indeed comes with a dehumidifier. I don't know why, because none of the other rooms do, but this room just happens to come with a dehumidifier. It's one of the features, and it indeed works perfect. I have found an excellent use for this thing though. As you may remember, my bathroom does not have a vent fan. And that can be kind of bad because when I take a shower, of course it gets all steamy in here and the water condenses on the walls and the ceiling and everything, and you know, that's not very good for your health or for the walls or ceiling. Well, what I figure is, every time I take a shower, I can just roll that thing in here and have it running while I shower and after I shower, and it seems to work really well. I don't notice this place becoming any more humid when I shower than a bathroom fitted with a fan would. So that's really good. Although I did notice something weird about this thing. Regardless of how much water it takes in, it will not shut off when it's full. I used this thing several times before I figured I would check the water tank, and I looked at it and it was about an inch from the top, and yet the full warning was not coming on, and when that comes on, the unit should refuse to operate. So what I did was I took a cup of water and I filled the tank all the way to the absolute top when it would not hold a drop more of water, and this thing would still turn on and run. So evidently this thing has a bad water level sensor. That's okay. I'll remember to dump it once in a while. Anyway, the reason why they thought that this thing was broken is because this outlet, in fact, does not work. And how I found this out was rather frustrating because I almost lost $40 or $50 of food in the process when I first moved in here. Now, of course, I brought my own fridge with me in addition to the one that comes with the room. These two fridges, they have the same type of power plug on them. It's an angled plug, and so you can't plug both of these into a regular outlet because you plug one in and then the other's plug won't fit. So I plugged this fridge into the outlet that's behind there, and I plugged this fridge into this one. Well, it wasn't until some 6 hours later I discovered that this fridge was very, very warm and it wasn't running. And I tried fiddling with the thermostat and everything else, and I wondered if there was a problem with the thermostat. So I thought, okay. I took my desk lamp and plugged it in there, and found out that this outlet is just completely dead. In fact, I found that this outlet is dead in a really weird way, in that the open circuit voltage is actually almost good. I think it's near like 100 volts or something, but as soon as you put a load on it, it goes down to nothing. So when you plug the dehumidifier in there, all the electronics come on and it seems like it's going to work, but as soon as you hit the power button, it crashes and the electronics reset. So yeah, that's really quite funny. So I told the housekeeper, and she called an electrician, one they usually bring in for when anything goes wrong, and he put a new outlet in here, which is why the outlet itself looks different from the cover. and that still didn't work. It turns out there is a break in the wiring between this outlet and the circuit breaker panel, which contains the breaker for this outlet. I don't know if it's all the rooms or just this room, but it also turns out that this room is wired extremely weirdly. Every single outlet, every single light, everything is on its own separate breaker, and each breaker is in a completely different breaker panel. So the breaker for this outlet might be in a particular place in this building, and yet the outlet for the fridges there will be in a completely different area of the building. It's wired so non-intuitively, but I guess it works. But anyway, yeah, there's a break in the wiring. They have not fixed it yet, so this outlet doesn't work. Oh well, I don't need it. Luckily, I did not lose any food when I discovered that. Something else kind of disheartening I found was that the outlet behind this bed, which these lamps plug into, is literally falling out of the wall, and it's just hanging out of the wall by the wires. And when you try and, if I wanted to unplug one of these lamps, you move the outlet around, and it turns out the wires aren't actually very secure either, so it disconnects and sparks and everything else. So yeah, I've just left that alone. I've let the housekeeper know about that. She says, nobody ever tells them about this stuff, so they never know about these problems. And I can understand that. Unlike myself, which pokes and prods through absolutely every inch of a place like this, most people, your average motel stayer isn't going to look behind the bed to take a look at an outlet. Of course, I go through absolutely everything. So I understand that. While we're at it, regarding this smoke detector, I've never bothered to actually see if it works, but I figure what the hell, there's no lights on it, I don't think it works, but let's press some buttons and see for ourselves. Okay, never mind. Wow, that scared the crap out of me. Well, that's weird. Why are there no lights on it if it does in fact work? And that's kind of cool. It's an incandescent light, evidently. Okay, smoke detector does work. Phew. Something else I noticed was that I noticed, like just a day or two after I moved in, was that the kitchen here seemed to be rather infested. I don't like to use such a word, especially if anyone who works here were to ever watch this video, but it seems literally that this kitchen was infested with fruit flies, those little things that are as small as black flies, but they're red in color. Yeah, regardless of how clean I kept the kitchen, now it's kind of filthy right now, it's been a hard past couple weeks, so it's kind of greasy and I got dirty dishes I have to do. Hopefully I'll do that this weekend, but regardless of how clean I kept it, I always had fruit flies everywhere, just flying around in here. I rarely found them anywhere else, but there was always, half a dozen of them in here, and, if I was diligent enough, I could, clean off a dozen of them or so in a day. But then, about a week ago, all of a sudden, they just stopped. I haven't seen one in about a week. That's nice. So yeah, that's kind of weird. I don't know where fruit flies would be getting to in a kitchen that's kept clean with no dirt or food anywhere for them to be attracted to. So I don't know. My fridge under here, that's working good. Nothing's been frozen. I've had to turn down the dial a bit after stuff started to freeze, but it's been kept at bay. So yeah, everything going well there. And also I want to tell a rather funny story about a rather awkward problem I had. It might be TMI for some of you, but it's I'll tell it anyway because I think maybe it'll help some people. But the problem I was having is whenever I sat on the toilet, a particular part of my anatomy would hit the water, and naturally, that wasn't very pleasant feeling, and I don't imagine it'd be very terribly sanitary either. So I found a way to at least slightly reduce how high the water comes up when the bowl fills. And how I did that was, I took a couple of Gatorade bottles and filled them with water, and just dunked them in the tank. And so now it has effectively reduced the capacity of the tank and how quickly it fills up, and therefore the bowl does not fill up quite as high, and it has helped quite a bit. So this is a 2.9 gallon per flush. Those two Gatorade bottles amount to about 3/4 of a liter, so this might be down to maybe 2.4, 2.5 gallons per flush now, but it still works just fine. And those bottles, they don't get in the way of the mechanism or any parts of it. So, problem solved there, crude but effective. Now, regarding school, I'm pleased to say that things are so far going very well. First of all, I decided to drop the philosophy class. It didn't seem like it'd be very interesting, you know, it dealt on, it seemed like it was going to deal on a lot of like theoretical and technical stuff, rather than the last philosophy course, which dealt with, you know, real world applicable stuff, and I don't think I would have been very interested in it. I didn't have to take it, so I decided to drop it. As for the two courses I am retaking from last year, first of all, my electric circuits course, that's going excellent. I believe I mentioned in the last video that there was a new prof teaching the course this year. The prof that had always taught the course for the past I don't know how many years is not teaching it this year, and they brought in another prof, and this new prof, I had never had him before, and I had no idea what he was going to be like. Well, it pleases me to say that the new prof is excellent. Middle-aged guy in his 50s, if not his 60s, and despite the fact that he hasn't taught this course in 15 years, according to his own account, he's doing a fantastic job. He teaches right by the textbook, so the course is very well structured, and if there's anything you can't follow, you can just look at the textbook because it will be there. In contrast, the prof last year, you know, tended to go by his own style and make up his own example problems and stuff like this. This new prof, he goes right by the textbook. He seems to go slower than the last prof, and he's very approachable, and overall, you know, no disrespect to the prof last year, because we know each other personally, and I do think he's a good professor, so no disrespect to him, but this new guy, he's really, really good, and I think he's a good fit for the course. I had my first quiz 2 days ago. I made 87% on it. I made a really silly mistake, so and that's why I lost 13%. I'm kind of ticked off about that. It was a really simple mistake, but a lot of people made that particular mistake, so I don't feel too bad about it. It's still an excellent mark. In contrast, last year on the first quiz, I made 50%. So that's that. Yeah, the course is going really good so far, and I'm hoping I can keep it up. As for the other course that I'm retaking from last year, Digital Systems, that's remaining exactly the same prof and everything. I've had my first 2 quizzes in that class. The first one I made 100%, excellent. In contrast, I think I made last year on that first quiz, I made 60%. Also, yesterday I had my second quiz. I don't know what I made on it yet, but we did go over the solutions today, and I believe I made 100% on that one too. That's amazing. And in contrast to that, in great contrast, last year on the second quiz, I made 10%. So yeah, huge difference. And I think the biggest difference is not the fact that I've already taken these 2 courses already, but the fact that I actually spent half the summer studying them. I think that helped a lot. I'm getting stuff a lot better now. So, yeah, things going good in that regard so far. My music class down here, I love it. It's an extremely enjoyable class. Very easy. Workload is, well, none really. It turns out that the real meat and potatoes of this course is that we attend 3 concerts. 2 of them symphonies, and one of them being something else that doesn't have to be a symphony or related to classical music, but we attend 3 concerts over the semester, and then for each one we write a short paper about it, and that's really it. That's about half the course, and the other half is just, you know, taking notes about and learning about instruments and how symphonies work and stuff like that. I already went to one of the 3 concerts we're supposed to attend. For this one, we weren't to attend a symphony like we will with the last 2, but we actually just had to attend an event at the Harvest Jazz and Blues Festival, which happens in Fredericton every year. So I actually saw the opening act of the festival. Emily Claire Barlow, if anyone's ever heard of her, she sings jazz music, and yeah, I've never been to a concert of any sort before. I don't listen to any jazz, and so I've certainly never been to any sort of jazz music event, and I can say that I thoroughly enjoyed it. She's a very talented singer, and yeah, really enjoyed it and enjoyed the music and everything there. It's a really nice event. It takes place in the Fredericton Playhouse, which is a nice, well, playhouse with a stage and nice seats and stuff. And yeah, I paid $35 to get in there, but totally worth it. Really enjoyed it. So yeah, other than that, the class is really interesting. I find the stuff that we're learning there interesting. Had our first quiz yesterday, and it took 5 minutes, and yeah, I'm pretty sure I got everything right. We had only written like half a page of notes, and that's all we had to study for this quiz. So yeah, really nice class. And then last here is my history class, which at this current point in time I kind of have mixed reviews of. I never thought a first-year introductory history course would cause me as much grief as this course is currently causing me. As for this course, there are no assignments, there are no tests or midterms or anything like that. The only coursework there is we have to write 3 essays over the semester. We have the opportunity to write 5. We only have to write 3 of them. If we write more than 3, we will be scored on the best 3. And there's also a final exam, which is not a standard traditional exam. It's actually a take-home exam. It'll be given to us a couple of weeks before it is due, and we take the exam home and do it. And I guess we can use the internet and everything else to answer the questions, although I imagine the questions will be stuff that you kind of have to know, you know, you kind of have to have actually learned something rather than just searching it on the internet. I reckon probably at least a couple of the questions will require writing full-blown essays. Of course, that's why we get a couple of weeks to write it. But what's kind of blowing me over with this course right now is, well, first of all, I've already written the first essay for it. It was due earlier this afternoon. I finished it last night. And see, in engineering, whenever you have to write an essay, which is almost never, but whenever you have to write an essay, it's a standard formal essay, which I wrote several in high school, and you know, and they usually tell you what they're looking for, and that's it. Well, in this course, what you're writing is not a formal essay. It's called a response paper. And, you know, we have to read an article or watch a film or whatever and write a response paper answering a question they will tell us about said piece of media that we're supposed to look at. And the thing is, they don't really tell you an awful lot about what they're looking for. They give you a little bit, probably enough for other people to say, yeah, whatever, and just write the darn thing. Well, with me, of course, I'm paranoid. I want to get a good mark. And I've been emailing my teacher's assistant that I'm assigned to, and I've emailed the prof. You know, between the two of them, I sent probably 4 or 5 emails asking questions about this paper because I'm just darn paranoid about how to do it. In particular, what I wasn't really most sure about was citing any references, any sources that I use in the paper. Because first of all, I wasn't sure if we were both supposed to cite sources, and if we were, I wasn't sure how. So, you know, I emailed them. I guess they tried to answer my question, but it didn't really. Although probably if I wasn't so strung out about it, they probably would answer it. In the end, I just said, screw it. You know, the last email the TA sent me said, try your best. So that's what I did. I just wrote the darn thing. I think it's okay. We'll see what kind of mark I get. I hope I get a half decent mark for the number of hours I spent poring over that and worrying about it and trying to write it. At least I did get it written. And as far as I can tell, it's what they asked for. But another thing about this class, again, this is just because I guess I'm used to the engineering courses, you know. Whenever something, you know, in an engineering course, say there's going to be a class that's canceled or a class that takes place in another room, the prof will tell you, like, every single class for a week before it actually happens, and they'll send you reminder emails as well. Well, in this class, what the prof tends to do is tell you once, and then it's up to you to remember that. Well, on Monday, history prof let us know that there was going to be a class on Friday, and there normally isn't classes on Friday. We normally have tutorials instead. And I remember this, I remember her saying it, but I subsequently forgot it because that's the only time she ever said it. I should have written it down somewhere to remind myself. I didn't, and I take all the blame. I did not attend the lecture today. I forgot it was happening, I missed it. Instead, I went to my tutorial to find absolutely nobody there, and I wondered why there was no tutorial. And I emailed the prof, and she told me, and she's kind of like, you know, all this stuff is in the syllabus. And indeed, it is. I have neglected to read the entire syllabus. At the very end of it, there's a course schedule that indeed said that there was a lecture today, when there normally wouldn't be on Fridays. So yeah, that kind of ticks me off. I missed a lecture. You know, I have no personal friends in that course, so I'm not sure how I'm gonna get the notes, any notes I missed. I guess ask a random person on Monday when I come in. Yeah, this course is kind of giving me some grief right now. I don't think it's anyone's fault but myself. I'm just totally out of the loop because the course operates quite a bit differently than what I'm used to. But hopefully I get a hang on stuff. Other than that, yeah, all the other courses, the 2 ECE courses, they're going excellent. I'm very happy right now.